Yes, most definitely.
Similar outcomes with both, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, EQ is very, very important. I just wrote an article that's gone out in Be Well magazine on anxiety, beyond anxiety, and one of the things that I've written about in there is how emotion affects, our health, the way we think, the way we feel so much. And mindfulness, when you're practicing mindfulness in that state, it really does help with growing your emotional intelligence greatly. Because it's that emotional charge that we're talking about here. So once that is actually diminished quite a bit, you will feel more peaceful and you will have more emotional intelligence because you're more responsive rather than reactive.
Yeah, and your relationships improve, correspondingly making life a lot easier for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oils the wheels of progress.
I'm sure I lived the first half of my life like an explosion, like an atom bomb reacting to everything that was going on.
Yeah.
It's amazing when we don't have this awareness, this mindfulness, how life is so very different. And by these really simple practices, you can start to bring your life into a much easier balance. If it's not fully balanced, it's easier. Things start to flow more, but it also means that we have to be more responsible as things surface.
Oh yeah, exactly, and take it on. In terms of, as you say, that equanimity, to be able to... a lot of it does come down to accepting the vicissitudes of life a bit and preferably not blaming somebody else for whatever goes wrong. It's not going to ease your personal relationships to blame them for your mood. No. You've made me angry.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I used to have a few of those. No, I was guilty of saying that to a few others too in the early phases.
Me
of the too.
Yeah. It's your fault I'm miserable. But it really is about taking responsibility and being able to really be in or control that inner environment, that inner state of being. And it does take practice.
Oh, absolutely. I used to have that poem of Rudyard Kipling's Kim on the Wall for years. It was an outrageous poem in the sense it was so difficult to do, but it was worth looking at it just to remind her. And I jotted down a couple of lines of it. And it said, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up again with worn-out tools. And I think in the end, then you're a man, my son.
Well, really, that's what we're heading towards, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I thought that was about the extreme of the whole thing, but yeah, it was certainly. It's probably like a lot of these things. The principles are simple. The practice of it is not easy at all. And I think even when you were talking about the simplicity of just watching the breath go through your nose and out again, I've tried to do that many a time, and I reckon if I get 6 or 7 breaths before my mind is somewhere else, I'm doing well. You bring it back, of course, again. But again, the principle's simple. Actually following it out isn't easy because the mind has a mind of its own and it wants to go off and do all sorts of other things.
That's right. It's always been in charge, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been in charge. So when you sit and you say, okay, mind, I'm ordering you basically to do this. It says, oh yeah, watch this.
Exactly.
Thumbs up to you.
Yeah, it's not going to be shackled.
No way. It becomes the bucking bronco. It's worse than ever. In fact, when you first start practicing it, it's when you start to really sit still, inside your mind, everything that is not still will surface. So it will become manic. At least when that happens, know that you're on the right track and you're doing a good job.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I've got so many patients over the years when I've ever suggested something like meditation. I can't do that. No, I can't do that. I just get so restless. I just go there. I can't stand.
That's what people say. I've tried that. Doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work for me. No, I'll try something else. So who's tried walking meditation? Oh yeah, but it's too slow.
Yeah, running meditation. Yeah, it's only because people don't understand what meditation is, and that's normal for that to happen. And then really, as we were saying earlier, about witnessing and observing. So we're going to go to a music break now. Amber Lawrence, and we're having a couple of Aussie songs today. The Peace I Keep. So I hope you enjoy this. Welcome back to Mind, Body, Heart and Soul. We're discussing mindfulness. Are you feeling mindful, Pete?
Yeah. Actually, that reminds me. I was chatting to my sister yesterday, and she and her husband, her brother-in-law, he died last year, but they went to one of the mindfulness seminars, and they did a meditation, and then they were told, now take it to lunch and just keep that mindfulness still, don't talk, and just... Anyway, he sat down and the silence, after a few minutes, he said, I want to be silent, but I'm very mindful that there are cold chips in front of me.
It takes practice, doesn't it? Cold chips were that cold.
Chips were cold. That made everyone, of course, burst out laughing, and that ruined mindfulness a bit. But
well, laughter is another healer, isn't it? So he did a good job.
He did a good job, yeah. That was very funny. So mindfulness, and I think really it makes sense that being mindful by keeping your mind active and out there in the present moment has to improve so many aspects of health and life generally. And I think we've sort of common sense and history has told us that. But I think lately, because the medical profession's wanting to have scientific basis for most things, and therefore there are a few trials. And I just briefly, the ones that they seem to have found some connection to or some improvement in the trials they have done, which are still early, they're not big trials, but anxiety, panic disorder, addiction, ADD, dementia, depression, heart disease and strokes, pain, sleep, insomnia, issues of sleep, eating disorders, sexual disorders or stress disorders, and stress, aging and associated illnesses. So, we've talked about some of it in the past in their own little areas, but these are all areas in which research has been done that suggests there's some validity in the impressions we do get.
It's amazing because we know by the results that we get working with people that it works. And from our own perspective. Or from my perspective, how far I've come after my breakdown and panic attacks and all my stress, that it really works. It's an interesting thing in our world, isn't it, that we have to have the stats to prove
Well, that's right. And this is the thing, the medical thing, that it's not scientific method unless it hasn't got validity until there's a few runs on the board on the statistics. That's part of the reason, I suppose, it came to mind that it's working its way into the system, because
at least it's coming in.
Yeah, it is coming in at least, and it's slowly, and probably, it's not a drug for, but its great value, of course, is it has very few side effects, if any.
Yeah, exactly.
All its effects are beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah. So really, it's the deep-seated feelings that cause the disturbance. So if people practice mindfulness, one of the things that they learn is to go into a state of harmony. And harmony is really, really important, because once you're in harmony, you will have healing start to happen. You can't not. It's those emotional disturbances that really cause the problems. It's the mind, the way we think and the way we feel. So it's just impossible not to have healing. If you did these practices every day, if everyone on the planet suddenly took even just 20 minutes out every day and focused on something, whether it was, the easy thing to do is breath. And as they say in some of the Buddhist things that they tend to teach, mindfulness of breath mainly. Yeah. And just doing that, and anyone can do it because it's so simple. It's simple in one way, but inside you'll have your mind jumping around, and that'll be busy, and your emotions will, surface. But it's just taking that, as we were talking about before, taking that distance and actually just witnessing and observing. One of my clients at the moment,